I'm Cori Schimko, one of the co-creators of the Theater for Social Change workshop, What is Love, Baby Don't Hurt Me. As a group, we explored the idea of using theater as a means of finding medicine in our stories. Our workshop specifically tackled the subject of abusive relationships and the different forms it comes in. We gave instructions to first create scenes of love and abuse and present them. The scenes of love were warm and full of togetherness, and the scenes of abuse were separate and kind of cold, not very warm.
Well, I have long wondered why I wasn't working in tandem with organizations like Victim Services and Office of Diversity, because the work that I do dovetails beautifully with the work that they're doing. And when I had a graduate student approach me who wanted to do a dual independent study with me and Victim Services, with Green Dot being the tie that binds, I snapped that up. So we've been working together for an entire year to create, we created a workshop, working on vagina monologues. Green Dot's come out and done several workshops that I have either engineered, the situation or invited them into my own classes. My goals for the work are to empower people to live their best lives, to lift them up to a place where they may fly. The motto behind the work, the one that I find most inspiring, is have the courage to be happy.
Now that we defined the difference to our participants, we told them to give us stories of how relationship abuse had touched their lives. The stories weren't all about themselves. They were told it can be a story about someone else, and we would keep the stories anonymous and explore them. Through this, we explored abuse and how to handle that situation from different angles. Parent-child, bully-victim, and even romantic relationships were talked about. Our research is used as a rehearsal for life, meaning that if a situation should occur, we would know what to do instead of freezing up and becoming a bystander to a serious situation.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
What is your favorite story about a student or class touched by this work?
Well, I have a lot of beautiful stories. The work is very rich and deeply textured and involves personal story sharing, so we take these amazing journeys together. There's also a confidentiality aspect to the work, so I don't share a lot of the stories, but I do have two that I share with their permission. And the first was about a young girl who was a fundamentalist Christian in my class, and a young fella who was militantly gay, is probably the best way to describe him, and raised by Wicca. And so these were two people who would not have spoken to each other probably normally, and certainly would not have been able to summit these stereotypes that they had created about each other in order to even have a civil conversation. But through the course of the class and story sharing and unmasking and walking in each other's shoes and finding the medicine in our stories, they not only were able to see life through each other's lenses, but they became friends, and really good friends, and that extended and still exists beyond the class to this day. Another story that happened fairly recently, I was at a conference presenting this work and with a bunch of people I did not know, total strangers, and we were devising on a theme of love. And normally people think, oh, that's warm, fuzzy, and up stuff, but it can actually be very intense. And the story that this girl shared, at the time she confessed she did not see this as love. She just was very upset by it, actually, but in retrospect she understood it was great, big love. And she shared with us how she had gone through a very depressed time in her life that was so intense that she didn't care about anything. She couldn't get out of bed, she didn't care about being clean or eating or any of those things. And her mother literally would drag her out of bed and take her and put her in the shower, both of them fully clothed, just to kind of get her, not only clean, but awake a little bit and life a little bit. And, in retrospect, of course, now she was in college and she was at this conference and she was sharing this story. And the groups took that story and they did research on it and they presented different versions of that story based on her personal tale. So, one did a news story and one did a spoken word piece, etc. But they brought in statistics about suicide and looked at it from multiple angles and shares, different lenses on looking at this idea of suicide. And at the end, not only was it a very moving session, but at the end, one of the facilitators, when we were checking out, shared through tears. She said, I wish that my sister had had a workshop like this before she killed herself. So the work is powerful, and the work is beautiful. And I feel blessed daily to be able to share it with people.
What is love?